Because I'm not talking. I'm now talking. Can you guys hear me? Everyone.
Yes, doctor, we can hear
Yes,
you.
doctor.
Yes, yes,
Okay,
doctor.
nice. Um, okay. So like I said, the class is being recorded, and this is me again, Sameh, and this is EA300B. So what is it that we're doing today? We're doing the other side of truth. We are done with the two picture books and the other, the Tale of Peter Rabbit, and we also did Voices in the Park. I sent you very interesting stuff on Voices in the Park. Remember this AI um, created video? Have you seen it? Did you like it? You haven't seen it, obviously.
I didn't finish it.
Yeah, but it's lovely, right?
Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
This is all you need for Voices in the Park, as a matter. Now, and today, inshallah, we're doing the other side of truth. And when we finish the other side of truth, so these are going to be the three works that we will take to the MTA. Can I ask you, Fatma, to mute your mic, Manish?
Okay.
So before I proceed, if you guys have any questions, any procedural questions about the quiz, which is obviously tomorrow or the day after, and then the MTA, which is on the 29th, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, Maram, go ahead.
Yes, hello, doctor. I only have one question. The critics about the tale of Peter Rabbit. We have Margaret McKay and Sharon Goodman. Are we supposed to memorize their opinion?
We don't memorize. We're يعني old enough not to memorize. You are graduating in math. So you need to process the information and turn it into knowledge and write in your own way. You don't have to memorize anything. But you need to study the material and get affected and influenced by it in your essays when you write. Your essays should reflect that you have read enough about the question that you have chosen to write about. Are you getting my point? Okay. Any other questions before we go to the other side of truth? Okay. I think when we have finished, we will have more questions. Again, like I said, and like I always say, having questions is a good sign. It means that you guys are kind of engaged with the material, and you're really busy with it. You study, you process the information, and of course there are information gaps that you would like to fill along with I mean with the help of somebody like myself. Okay, so how much do we know about the other side of truth? Because I sent you a couple of videos, I think, this morning. So how many have you accessed the videos? So Diala did. Who else? The videos on the other side of truth, the videos that I sent this morning. Roba, Fatma. Okay, and also Zahra. Yeah, lots of people, mashallah. And Shaza or Shada. Okay, and somebody mm, whose name we don't know because she is obviously anonymous. 9100160 and six.
Yes,
Yes,
Dr. Me.
yeah.
Yes, Dr. Me. My name is Badriya.
Yes, Bedray. Okay, Bedray. And of course, Roba. Yeah. Okay, bye. So what is up? Yeah, what's our what's our overall impression about the novel? I think even prior to sending you the stuff, I asked you to also read the novel, and you had a long time. I mean, remember that we broke for Hajj holidays, and it took us like 10, if not more days. Enough time and sufficient time for you to perhaps read the novel in and out. So if you have read the novel, raise your hand. Please drop your hands, Lanu. You're still having your hands on from last time. So if you have read the novel, now raise your hand. So I take it that Diala, Fatma, uh, Rawan, Zahra, and I forgot your name. I'm sorry. The one with the number, sorry. And also Shad. Okay. So how many of us did perhaps some summary reading, looked the novel up or a summary of it on the internet and did some research? Okay, nice. So let's try to compare it to the other works. Obviously, it's a different piece of work, and I would like you to tell me how different it is from the other two picture books. If you, okay, now drop your hands and only stay, I mean, keep your hand up if you would like to answer. So let's talk about our overall impression about the novel, if I can call it a novel, and if you believe that it is a novel, not the picture book, for example. Let's have Fatma Bilal, and we go from there.
Yes, so I found it to be the plot was quite simple. It was a simple read, wasn't very difficult. It is different from a picture book because the absence of pictures.
Mm-hmm.
But I
So
found
it's a
the
novel.
story.
Can we safely say that it is a novel?
Yeah. Yes, in my opinion,
Okay.
it is. Yes.
Yeah. Do we have a clear introduction, and then we have developments, and then like some
Yes,
kind of ending or closure?
there is. There's a climax, there's an ending, there's a closure.
Is it a happy closure? Do we have people, perhaps they get reunited and they do we
Yeah,
have a happy ending?
it's kind of like a typical, not a typical, but it is a somewhat happy ending.
Okay, nice. What else would you like to share with us about it, Fatma?
Like I said, I thought it was a very simple and easy to read story. When I first started reading it, I thought it was going one direction, but it's basically just how life can be through the eyes of a child, um, because of the actions of the parents and their perspective of the world and
Do you blame
injustice.
the parents? I mean, let me ask you this very quick question. Do you blame the parents for what happened to the kids?
I don't blame the parents. It's
Mm.
just their actions led to what their displacement.
If you're a parent, would you consult with your children, or they would be too small to consult?
No, I think at that age you're too small. In
No.
that climate that they're in, I think that they're too small, and probably you would want to shield them from that side of corruption.
Um, I mean, yeah, you mean they meant well. This was all done in good faith, right?
I do believe so, and I would say maybe a parent in that situation would struggle on what to do, but at the same time wanting to do right. I don't
So
think it's just an easy choice to make.
you
It wasn't.
believe that the people should do the right thing, irrespective of anything,
No, I think it's a
regardless
hard
of the consequences.
No, I think it's a hard choice to make.
Mhm.
What would you do in that situation? I think it's a
Mhm.
question is what would you do? Maybe the parent thought he was doing what he was thought was right.
Mhm.
Maybe he thought he was safe. It's I think it's a hard question to answer if you're not in that situation.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Yes. Let's move all to, thank you, Fatma. Thank you so much. Let's move to Zahra and then go to Diala after her. Zahra, what do you have to say about the novel? Because you're raising your hand. Okay. So until Zahra is ready, let's go to Diala.
Yes, doctor. I believe that the title is just give me a nice idea about the novel, if I will call it a novel. The other side of the truth. I will ask myself, is there another side for truth? So we know that if you will say truth, so that means that just only truth. So I believe that the father in this novel, he just was misjudged in this kind of situation. He just put himself and his family in a very risky way. I believe that novel is different from the other novel that we talked before. The irony that I just feel it in this novel, that the adults are not capable to make a judgment or a kind of a right judgment. The children that they are more capable to make their right choice. So I believe this is the most important thing in this novel. I believe that the tale of Peter Rabbit and the voices in the park, they just focus that the children, they do not have the right choice when they just wanted to yani, try a new experience or a new adventure. But in this novel, the irony that the children are more wise than the adults, it's really clear.
Yeah, this is what we call agency. We call it
Yeah.
child agency. When you have the power to effect change, you take matters into your hand because society, perhaps, and your parents failed you. You decide to kind of take matters into your hand. You take all the decisions and you effect the change that you would like to see. So
Yeah.
child agency is at the core of the novel, like Diala is saying. Thank you, Diala.
Thank you.
Zahra, are you still raising your hand or? Okay. Um, can I ask you to drop your hand if you're Bara? Let's have Bara.
Yes, sir. To be
Yes.
honest, the other side of the truth leaves a powerful impression due to compelling portrayal challenges faced by the two characters, State and Femi, the young Nigerian siblings forced into exile in London. The novel not only explores their personal struggle for survival and justice, but also delves into the broader themes of political oppression and cultural identity. Also, the refugee issues. As someone who is Palestinian refugee, lived in Jordan, it was harsh. So it's amazing to read something that faced our issue.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, good. Um, Anybody else? Initial impressions about the novel, themes and ideas that struck you as interesting, relatable, perhaps. Diala, you're raising your hand again. Would you like to say something?
Yes, doctor, there is something, it was really yani impressing in this novel that the writer it just combined. When I read it for the first time, I believe yani, she gave me the sense that this is a realistic story or a story it can be really happen because she just shows an important cases such as racism, the political arguments about the hard condition of education in Nigeria, how the people or the Nigerian people face all kind of racism in UK. So for a second, I believe that it's a real story. It can be happen, but we knows that it just from her imagination. This kind of combination, how she just uh, give me the ability as a reader to think that it's can be happen. She's really very she used a very yani, nice techniques in her writing to just achieve this kind of um, what I will call it. Uh,
It's a novel, of course. I mean, to achieve the effects or to, kind of uh, have the effects that they now have on you and on everybody else, right?
yes.
Yes. Okay, so again, we're stressing the fact that it is very relatable in our world of late, where immigration is obviously a big issue, especially in the West. I mean, people, illegally migrating from one country to another. This is obviously a very hot issue nowadays. And also the people involved in this kind of migration or immigration, you normally have people from poor quarters of the world, poor countries. And they travel to Europe illegally, and obviously it's like I said, it's an issue that Europe is grappling with. That makes it very relatable. That makes it very current and very even popular. Let's talk about the plot. Who can give us the plot in very simple terms? What happened, by whom, when, and where? So we said that's a novel. We agreed on the fact that it is a novel. It's not a picture book anymore. It's a novel like any other novel where we have, space, and the space is populated by characters, and then we have, you have a problem or a number of challenges, and people are grappling with them. They try to find solutions for them. You have complications, and then things um, take turns, and those turns sometimes become nasty, and then you have a resolution of the issues and the problems. And so it's a typical novel when you talk about its different stages and plots, right? So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the plot. Who is going to tell us about the plot? Anybody else? I mean, we have Diala, and we also have Fatma and Shaza. Let's have Shaza, because Shaza hasn't said anything.
Yes,
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Shaza.
I understand the story about the other side of the truth, that it follows of Nigerian siblings, Sade and Femi, whose lives are charged by violence. So they're outspoken journalists, and the father becomes a target for the oppressive military regime. And also, their mother, it is tragically killed in failed assassination, fearing of their safety. So, Said and Femi are forced to Nigeria with the help of their auntie Beatrice. That I understand for this. That's
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Let's have Bara. You can give us the plot in simple
for sure.
terms.
For sure. The story of siblings, Said and Femi, who are forced to flee Nigeria after their mother, a vocal critic of the government, is murdered. Then they seek refuge in London, where they face challenges adjusting to a new life as refugees with the help of their uncle. They navigate to the complexities of immigration and begin to uncover the truth about their mother's death. Then along the way, they confront cultural differences and make new friends, ultimately strive to find justice and rebuild their lives in a foreign land. In general, the novel highlights the bond between the siblings and the quest of the truth amidst the political oppression.
Can we focus on the plot? I mean, the narrative itself. What happened, when, where, by whom?
Yeah, it was like from in Nigeria and London because I just watched Little Sameh. That's why I'm trying to give you my best.
That's fine. I mean, you're very philosophical, and I admire you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, my pleasure.
Let's go to Fatma, because Fatma wanted to say something. Fatma Bilal, about the plot, I think.
Yeah, I think they said the same. It started off with a murder, the mom being murdered in front of the house in Nigeria, and the kids having being forced to flee to London and adjust to life there and face different challenges, and in the end reuniting with their father, still fighting for justice.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, thank you so much. This is the plot in a nutshell. Very simple and very straightforward. Where we talk about the setting, we have two places or two countries. We have Nigeria and we have England or London, right? And of course, if you come from Africa, from Nigeria, perhaps at the time you would have high hopes. You think that if you travel to England, your problems are going to be all resolved. You won't have any problems. You will have, it's always green on the other side of the fence, like they say. So this is what we assume, but the sad reality, or the reality, is obviously different. It's sad and sordid. The English are not who they claim they are. England is not what its people are claiming it to be. There is a huge difference between, reading about England and about their history and how heroic and noble it is, but when you go there and live there among the people, it's totally different. It's a sordid kind of reality. It's you know, it's the system is very I wouldn't say corrupt, but it's very routinated kind of system where you have red tape. You don't have any consideration for cases where children are involved. You would, and that's very um, there is a leveling process of a sort, and a leveling process is not always good when you treat everybody equally in certain situations. That this does not work. If you're treating an adult like the way you treat a child is obviously not very it's not a very good thing to do. It's very counterproductive. Maram, you're raising your hand.
Yes, I wanted to say something. You were talking about migration. I think this is not just in this issue. It's not in the novel. Like it's in reality. Everybody who migrates, especially from countries that are suffering from war and poor, lack of jobs, no matter the destination they are traveling to, they think it's going to be heaven. They're going to find a job easily and blend in the society very easily. But they get shocked by reality that it's not heaven at all, and there are many issues and struggles, not just in the novel, but in reality.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we're saying that it is very realistic. That's why we're saying that it is, um, very relatable. Because if we talk about the class, some of us are immigrants already. I've been away from my country for the past 15 years. This is immigration, right? So it happens. It happens when you talk about migration and moving and living somewhere else for years and years, and the issues that come with it. So it is very relevant to what some of us are experiencing even. So this is as far as the setting and as the plot are concerned. Let's move to the characters. Let's first of all, I would like somebody to come and tell me who the characters are. Perhaps enumerate them and tell me this is that, this is that, and this is that, and then we vote for the best character. The character that we think we relate to very much. So let's start with the characters, the list of characters, if you still remember. Let's go to Lamis Ayman.
Yes, doctor.
Hi, Lamis.
Hi. First character is Sade. She's the protagonist. She is the young Nigerian girl who witnessed the murder of her mother. And then there's Femi. He's Sade's brother. He's calm and not so aware and concerned about what's happening. Then there's their father, Said's father. He's a bold man who always gave them trust and told them to always have confidence and speak up.
You mean
And he's a bold man.
is bold like me?
Bold,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just kidding. Yeah, of course. Very courageous, you mean, right? Yeah,
does
go.
anyone want to continue or do I go ahead?
Yeah, of course. And I was just joking. I'm sorry. Go on.
Okay,
Yeah.
and Uncle Deal, he's Said's and Femi's uncle. There's Mrs. Bankol. She instructs Said and Femi in the United Kingdom. There's Mrs. Apia. Uh, she also helps them, I guess.
Mhm.
And there's Mariam. They meet her at school, but she's a friendly girl. That's all I know.
MashaAllah. Thank you, Lamis. Thank you so much. Let's go to Fatma. Fatma is raising her hand. Go ahead, Fatma.
There was Marcia, the girl she encountered in school, her bully.
Ah,
There was Kevin and his mom, Mrs. Graham, the one that took them in when they first went to London. And then there is what do they call them? Aunt Garcia and Uncle Roy, the one who they stayed with in the end.
great. Thank you, Fatma. Shaza, you wanted to say something about the characters, right?
Yes. First, Said, a Nigerian girl, and with her younger brother after their mother is dead. And the second, Femi, is Said's younger brother, but he struggles to adjust to life in London after their departure from Nigeria. That's all I know. And the Said's father, who speaks out against the Nigerian government. And Uncle Dilly or Dilly, okay, Said and female uncles in London. But he's not very welcoming to them. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Shaza. Thank you so much. Okay. So these are the characters. And normally when we talk about characters, we say that you have vibrant, dynamic characters, and you also have characters who are only there to perhaps furnish the needed and the necessary background. So if you have to choose or to vote for a character, who are you going to choose as the most relatable, the most engaging, the most interesting, the most memorable?
Of course, Said.
There has to be reasons for this choice. Do you have your own reasons? Why? Why do you think she is what you think she is? You're raising, yeah, we're talking, Diala. Go ahead.
Yes, doctor. Of course, Said, because she insists in the end of the novel to go to the journalist and tell him all of the truth, which was happening in Nigeria. So, if she did not do this, she had the full courage to do this, and she was the reasons to let her father free from the UK prisons. So she had the full courage. That's why I choose her. She it's just acting like a big adult, or maybe if she did not do this kind of action, her father will stay in the prisons, in UK prisons. That's why I choose her.
Yeah.
I She has really
And
the full power.
yes, To
Yes, that's
her goes the credit of introducing the idea of child agency. She
yes.
is very capable. She, like I said, she had to kind of fend for herself and for her brother in a very what in a very intolerant kind of world. I mean, world that does not obviously care whether the formalities that it upholds would apply to kids or not. So obviously she is, yeah, I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to talk about her. Perhaps let's have somebody else. If you share the sentiment, if you think Shade or Said is the best of all possible characters in the novel, come to the mic and share with us why you think she is what you think she is. If you're opting for somebody else, also come to the mic. We're talking about characters that struck chords with you, sensitive chords, characters that you liked, sometimes characters that you hated very much, but you still admire. So, what do you think of the character of the father? What is the best description? You know, fathers, this is at least what we think, that fathers are always wise. They take the right decisions at the right times. So, does this apply to the father in this novel? Do you think that he is the best of all possible fathers? Do you think that he did or he made the right choices? Or I mean, he had, uh, what do you think? What do you think of the father? Yeah, Diala?
Yes, I was raising my hand, but if there is any one of my colleagues they wanted to answer, it's okay, because I believe that I took their turn. But I spoke in the beginning of the class about my opinion about the father, that he is not trying to protecting his family, and he just following his ambitions to say the truth about the the problems that they face it in Nigeria, and he was really very risky. So he is not playing the role of parents in a correct way. He just follows his ambitions just to tell up all of the truth that he have. So he's not just playing the correct role for the parents, as you say, doctor, that they have to protect their children and their family.
Okay, thank you. Lamisi, you were raising your hand, right?
Yes, I also wanted to talk about Said's father, that he was a really helpful and lovely father. Like, he loved his children, even though he wasn't physically present. He sacrificed by letting them travel from Nigeria to the UK, and he was always like fearless, and he has so much courage to speak up about the truth and risk.
So you think the father is not what some people think he is, and some people are so harsh on him, believing that he was reckless.
Yes, he
He,
was reckless, but in a way to help protect his children. So he did it out of love, not out of stupidity. Like, he
I
did
mean,
it out.
how about the idea of exposing the government, and he knew that they are very powerful. They can harm him and his family, which they eventually did when they killed his wife. Do you think this is calculated risk that he was taking? Did he
No,
calculate?
not at this part, but
Mm.
after the consequences,
Hmm.
I support. Before that, it wasn't so smart or
Hmm.
um, he didn't put his children and his family into consideration while making that choice.
Yeah. He was uncompromising about the truth. Which do you think a good thing to be all the time uncompromising about the truth? Don't you think that you should at at times be flexible enough? You should be strategic in your thinking. If you are unarmed and you meet or encounter an elephant in the street and it's running after you, or even do you think it would be a good thing to stand up to the elephant, or you think of running away?
The right thing to do is to run away and to not risk it, but his character is the bold courage man, so
Okay. Okay, let's go all the way to Bara because she has something to share with us about the father.
Yeah, I believe that was deep by the loss of his
Bara, can I ask you to perhaps come closer to the mic because your voice fluctuates, it comes and goes.
What about now? Is it good?
Uh, yeah, try.
Yeah, I believe that he was deeply affected by the loss of his wife and the separation of his children, who has fled to London. In general, despite his absence for most of the novel, his love and his struggle with grief are significant themes. He supports Said and Femi from afar, like he was trying to give him support, comfort, and sometimes guidance, I think, yeah. Through letters and phone calls, his character highlights the emotional toll of political and persecution and the strength of familial bonds even across great distance. But sometimes you have to take a step as an answer to your question.
Yeah, thank you, Bara.
You're welcome.
I think somebody else was raising her hand, and yeah, okay. Um, so let's talk about the issues. I mean, characters create and make issues, right? Places also create issues. So what are the issues that we're grappling with as readers? What do you think the issues are? What do you think the writer is trying to get across to us? What are the themes that we're likely to talk about if somebody asks us about the other side of truth? No issues?
I think one of the issues is being completely truthful at times when they shouldn't have, which goes to the consequence of Said's father losing his wife and his kids being orphaned.
Yeah, the idea of being uncompromising about truth, whether this is the right policy, the best policy at times or not. Yeah, that is very interesting. Fatima, you're raising your hand.
Yeah, another theme was the cultural transition that the kids had to face.
What do you
Uh,
mean by that?
the different cultures from when they
Uh,
were home from
you mean
Nigeria, and then when they,
you mean
yes,
navigating new cultures and how
navigating,
you can survive the transition, right?
yeah, and going through discrimination and prejudice.
That too. Thank you so much. Um, is it Shah Muhammad Khalid?
Soha. It's Soha.
Soha. Soha, okay.
Yeah.
Because it's SH.
I know. It's a mistake from the college.
Okay.
Okay.
Go
I
ahead,
think
yours.
the most important theme in this novel is family. There is nothing more important than family
Mm.
because
This
after
is,
there,
you mean, this is one of the takeaways, right?
yes, one of the themes.
Uh, can you elaborate on this idea?
Yeah,
How?
because after their mother kills in Nigeria, the children's father, he sent them to England in hopes for a better life. Their life might be safer, but they are now a separate family. So
Yeah.
even if they have a better life, but there is nothing more important than family.
Absolutely. I wouldn't agree more. Thank you, Soha. Seham, I'm sorry. Seham, right? Okay. Shaza?
I think the writers may struggle to have their stories heard and believed by readers from dominant cultures. And the readers may bring their own text to make it difficult to understand their experiences of characters from different backgrounds. So that's all I know.
Yeah, you know too much.
Yeah,
Thank you, Shaza.
yeah.
You know enough. Lamis is raising her hand. Yeah, go ahead.
I was also talking about the theme revolving around Sade. Since they are illegal immigrants, she was shamed and feeling guilty for having to keep it a secret, hiding her mother's death, having the fear of protecting her brother and keeping him safe, also worrying about reuniting with her father and going back safe to Nigeria.
Yeah, great. Good. Any other themes that you guys think the writer is trying to address or talk about or share with us? Diala?
Yes, doctor. There is an important point. I don't know what to call it, but I believe that the writer just gave us during all of the novel that the boy and the girl they cannot just move on from the shock of their mom murdered. They wanted just to go back. Even in the end of the novel, they wanted to go back to Nigeria, and even when they were in London, they remember all of the time what happened to their mom. So I believe that they are struggling, like when you have a shock in your
Yeah,
life,
trauma. It's a
that
trauma, right? They have this trauma, right?
it's called trauma.
Yeah, traumatic, and they have had they have had this traumatic experience of seeing their
Okay,
mother assassinated and murdered in front of their eyes.
okay. So
Um,
yeah,
hmm, yeah,
yeah, I believe yeah that they cannot, like they are just feeling that they are powerless. They cannot move on. They cannot go back. So they are just يعني struggling with this kind of shock that they have.
very good. Lemis, are you raising your hand or you forgot it? Up?
No, I forgot it. Sorry.
Okay. Right. So you guys know a lot, mashallah. It's what does this tell us about the novel? It tells us that it is a very poignant and a very profound kind of novel where the issues, like I said, are very relevant. Sometimes we're not very far away from it, like I said. Um, what do you think of the language? What do you think of the style of the writer? Have you noticed the style, whether it's, you know, simple kind of prose, whether it's poetic, verging on poetry? What do you think if you have noticed that? Perhaps you were focused on the ideas and the characters and what they do and how they do what they do. I would like you to take stock of the style of writers because those issues can be discussed and can be written about in different genres and with different authors. What makes the real difference would be the style of the writer. So how much do we know about the writer? Do we have a man or a woman? Yeah, Fatma, go ahead.
It's a woman. She
Mm-hmm.
was, I believe, born and raised in South Africa
Mm-hmm.
during the time of apartheid,
Mm-hmm.
and she was a political activist herself. She migrated to England, and I believe that is the reason why she had her characters in her story migrate to England, because that was the country that opened up for her.
Just to remember her name, what's her name?
Naidoo, Beverly Naidoo.
Yeah, Beverly Naidoo. Naidoo, yes.
Naidoo.
Okay, it's very strange, right? I mean, to have a writer from South Africa who is writing about people in Nigeria. You would expect her to write about South Africa, right? But obviously, the issues that she is addressing are no more in South Africa because this was post apartheid Africa. I mean, South Africa, Africa after the apartheid. I mean, this racial separation kind of system was demolished, and Nelson Mandela was elected president. So obviously, and she was a political activist, and she was also speaking out against apartheid. Now that apartheid is over in South Africa, she she went and tried to exercise her political activism in another country. She chose Nigeria because Nigeria, and they don't have a apartheid because they are all dark or black like me. But what they have is even worse. They have corruption, political corruption, and they have dictatorship. When you have an absolute ruler who rules for life, and then his family inherits the presidency, for example, and it's a network of corruption. So this is what she was trying to expose, and it's and she didn't stop obviously in Nigeria. She went all the way to England because most of the narrative is in England, as a matter of fact, not in Nigeria. And when she had her sitting in England, she wanted to say something. She wanted to perhaps raise the awareness of her readers, especially the children among them, that there is obviously more to life than just England. There is more to life than just Europe. And there are people out there on the other side in Africa and in Latin America who suffer, who don't have the privileges that those readers, white readers, have. They don't have access to education or proper education. They don't have access to a lot of the things that the English child enjoys. So perhaps this was one of the messages. And she referred to it as cultural literacy. She's trying to make her English child reader literate, and not literate about computers, not literate about knowing how to read and write in English. Literacy this time around is cultural literacy. When you have this sensitivities towards other culture, and sensitivities in a positive way, I mean, you know about uh, um, other cultures, you show tolerance and understanding and appreciation. You feel empathetic, for example. You feel for them, like what is happening now for Gaza, for example, where you can see that people in Europe and across the globe are, having those kinds of empathies and sympathies towards people in Gaza. This is cultural literacy, where people are literate culturally. They know that it's not always honey and milk on the other side. They know that other countries and other people exist. It's not their own bubble in England and Europe. It's not all white and green-eyed and straight-haired. No. Um, so these are perhaps some of the messages. People need to develop this cultural literacy. And look at the characters, look at the girl, for example. It is assumed that people who come from Africa are perhaps backward, they are ignorant, they are not as smart. But look at the girl, mashallah. She proved excellent. She knew more than her other white, green-eyed, straight-haired peers. She speaks very good English, obviously, and this is going to help her to kind of advocate for her father and to lobby for his release. At one point, he was going to be deported to Nigeria, and this was risky because he could have lost his life if he went back to Nigeria. She took advantage of her good English and her excellent communication skills, and she reached out to the English, and she made or she did an excellent job. So again, this is perhaps another message. So we have competing narratives, if you like. We have the European mindset, which sees the other as different, but in a negative way. The European mindset sees people who are not European as, you know, less smart, less everything. And obviously, the novel, or perhaps one of the ideas of the novel, is that this is not true. This is a false narrative, and it has to be debunked, and it has to be dismantled. And the girl proved it. So as you can see, the novel is all about issues, is all about raising people's awareness about things, about the plights of, like I said, of people in other countries away from England and away from Europe. Okay, let's go to the what I have for you, the material that we're having, and we are on our way. We have a number of articles that I would like you to read. See if I have them. These are taken. I wanted to show you the book. Let me see if I have the book. So the file that was. Strange. I have it, but I need to perhaps stop sharing and look for it. So this is the book that you guys have. I gave you a copy at one point, and I'm ready to give it to you again. No, this is part of the book, as a matter of fact, but we have the book. And these are the articles that I would like you to read. So, children's literature, classic text, and contemporary trends. This is obviously the title of the book, but we're being very selective when it comes to the articles. We're not covering them. We're only covering the articles that are relevant to the novels that we have, novels and picture books. So this is an article, Radical Agendas, Beverly Naidoo, The Other Side of Truth. So this is a very interesting introduction. And then we have a number of articles, A Writer's Journey, Retracing the Other Side of Truth. And this is written by Beverly Naidoo herself. she's talking about her inspiration, what made her write, and she talks about her activism and how she went to England and why and stuff like that. And then we have another article, which is What is the Other Side of Truth? And this is by Jana Giles. Again, it's details about the novel and the setting and what triggered the interest in this kind of novel, terms of ideas. And then we have a third one. Now, this is the end of it. So as you can see, the articles are not so many, but they are very significant and they can add to your repertoire of ideas about the novel. And then we have, and these are the articles, and they are kind of cut out so that they can stand alone. And obviously, I'm not interested in that. What I am interested in is a different thing. Let me see if I can have that. Okay. So this is actually what I'm interested in. The themes and the ideas are divided into files. So what are the themes? One of them is the moral responsibility of societies toward children. One of them would be the role of adults. One of them would be truth-telling and agency. The role of the media. And of course, some kind of introduction about the novel and also the idea of instruction and delight. So whether Naidoo thinks that she is instructing, instructions means giving moral lessons, or is she trying to amuse her readers? Because this has always been the debate, whether when writers write novels, they want to instruct, to give lessons, to give moral lessons, or they want to delight and make people happy and entertain them. And then, of course, the historical background of the novel and reasons as why Naidoo engaged in this kind of novel. So these are the things that we are going to talk about in the novel, together with the idea of close reading, because in every exam, whether it's midterm or final, you have a close reading passage taken from the other side of truth. And what is interesting about close reading in EA300B is that we're not testing um, whether you are going to figure out the topic or the theme of the passage or not. We gave you the theme, and we tell you to discuss it. So you have a passage that can give you examples when you write your essay, and you know the theme. The theme is laid out already for you. What is more interesting and more what is easier than that, obviously. So this is what we're having. We're going to have um, perhaps until the midterm a number of passages that are, of course, relevant and significant from the novel, and we're going to discuss them and see how we can uh, you know, get inspired by them and write essays and stuff. So, so this is what we're doing. We're going to start off with the introduction. You have already spoken about the novel. So again, it's radical agendas, Beverly Naidoo, The Other Side of Truth. And the word radical agendas is very significant. You know what an agenda is? When you have a plan, when you have a motive for something, you're doing something because you have a plan or you have an agenda. And the reference here is to what is radical. Radical means sweeping. We normally talk about radical change. So radical change is not cosmetic, for example. If you ask for a change and it's radical, it means that it is very sweeping. It doesn't leave anything. So obviously, Beverly Naidoo in her novel and in her other novels is interested in that, in promoting and in advancing agendas that are radical in the sense that they change, and the change is very sweeping, is very, it uproots, it exposes like nothing else does. So the set of articles that we have on and about Naidu, on and about the other side of truth, have this title, Radical Agendas, because what we are in for is reform, but it's radical reform. Radical in the sense that uh, um, um, things have to change, and they have to change wholesale, and they have to change totally and entirely. So what do we know about the other side of truth? We know that it was published in 2000, which makes it a post-modern novel. And obviously, if you go and look and detect elements of postmodernism in it, you're not going to find, because the narrative is very straightforward. The plot is not twisted. The characters are flesh and blood, relatable human beings like the rest of us. Perhaps what is postmodern about the novel is the concerns, the issues. Like I said, immigration is a postmodern phenomenon. Um, the idea of child agency is also postmodern, because with the suffering and the miseries that we see around us in the world, children or some children start to take up matters into their hands, and they try to effect changes in the world, because like I said, the system failed them, their families failed them, the government failed them. So again, Beverly Naidoo's The Other Side of Truth was published in 2000, and it is a social realist fiction novel with a political agenda. So it has social realism. We said that it's realistic because the issues and the themes are very relatable, because the characters are not gods or demigods or heroes. They are normal human beings like the rest of us. And of course, it is, I mean, the concerns are rooted in society. So it's a social realist novel that has a political agenda. Of course, the motives are political. It addresses a political issue and a political topic. The idea that it's not easy to tell the truth in or under dictatorial regimes like Nigeria. The next thing you know is that you are either killed or thrown into prison for as long as you live. So this is what the other side of truth is. It is a social realist novel that has a political agenda, written by none other than Naidu, who happens to be South African, a South African exile who is now based in England. How much do we know about Naidu? We know that she was an anti-apartheid activist, and she had to pay for that because she was a political activist, and she was kind of um, calling out and fighting against the apartheid regime of South Africa. She had to, they sent her to exile in England. She wrote a number of novels. When she went, she started writing novels. So as you can see, the other side of truth is a post-apartheid kind of novel, and critics believe that this is a new departure in the career of Naidu because it doesn't talk about apartheid anymore. It talks more about England, where the author is now. Again, the themes are even becoming more universal, more humanitarian. In the past, it was all about politics, but now they are humanitarian with a tinge of politics, of course, but obviously politics is not the whole issue. So we're talking more about children who struggle against injustice and other difficulties. The novel, more specifically, is about two Nigerian refugee children who arrive in Britain seeking safety after the assassination and the killing of their mother, and the disappearance of their journalist father by the government of Nigeria. So what is it that Naidu is trying to do, and what is it that she is rewarded for? Because she got a number of accolades and a number of rewards and medals because of her writing. And why she had those rewards? Simply because she was trying to bring in children. She tried to bring in children and try to raise their awareness about politics. She was trying to politically engage them. So children are capable human beings, as she believes, and they shouldn't wait too long before they are initiated into politics. No, she's saying no. Uh, don't send me anything. It's not you, perhaps somebody else. Somebody was sending me something on the group. No, it's a different group. Okay. So again, she wanted to reveal the impact of the wider society and its politics on the lives of young characters. So again, this is very impactful, and this is why she got those rewards. She wanted to also move the child reader beyond concerns centered on their own immediate lives. Like I told you, I mean, she is obviously addressing children readers in England, and those children are only concerned with their immediate surroundings, the school that they go to, the club that they frequent, the church that they pray in, perhaps. But their concerns do not go beyond that. They don't know about other people in other countries and in other continents. And if they don't know that other people and other countries exist, they are lot likely to not know that people suffer, that people die needlessly in civil wars. They don't know that poverty, obviously, that people are sometimes, people die of hunger. So what Naidu is trying to do here is that she's trying to take them from their bubble, those children readers. She's trying to raise their awareness about the plights of other people uh, in other countries and in other continents. Again, what are the themes that we have? Remember, we spoke about a lot of concerns and issues. We're talking about political oppression. When you have, like I said, the rulers who are absolute and dictatorial. So this is one of the things. We also have talk about war, displacement, the idea of you having to leave your country and your land and go somewhere else because some occupying force decided that you have to do it. The idea of migration, like I said, the idea of refugees and starting a new life somewhere else, and those concerns and homesickness and all those. So these are some of the issues that the novel engages. Um, when you read the novel, you also have those juxtapositions between the innocence of migrant children and the bullying of the people of the host country, where they normally exhibit xenophobic attitudes towards uh, expat children or refugees. Again, she's addressing all of that. She's also addressing the idea of bureaucracy and how bureaucratic practices can be unfair, can be unheeding of the calamities and the plights and tragedies of people. This is what she's trying to emphasize all through. Again, it's about making child readers empathize with outsiders, and it's about questioning the fairness and humanity of the society in which they live. And then the essays that I told you about. Move on. This is also interesting, and it is about Naidu, her South Africa, the apartheid system, and then how the idea came to her. The article starts off with talk about Naidu herself and how she is from South Africa and how she was born. She was born into a middle class family in South Africa, and then she became a political activist and joined the anti-apartheid movement when she was only a student, and how she was imprisoned for 8 weeks and she was put in solitary confinement, and then she went into exile in Britain, only to return to South Africa in 1991. And then there is talk about the other works that she has produced until we arrive at The Other Side of Truth, which is obviously one of her best novels. Again, the context is not very different, whether we're talking about South Africa or we're talking about Nigeria. At the core of the whole experience is the idea of colonization, the fact that Africa in general was colonized by either the British or the Dutch or the German. There is this talk about her family and where they came from. Remember, she is white, not black. So there is talk about them coming, being part of them is obviously Jewish, and they came from Europe in the late 1800s, and looking and for and searching for diamonds and gold and so on. And then there is talk about the idea of apartheid in South Africa and how it started, and its peak, which was in the 1930s, where people or black people started to feel it deep, where you have this institutional segregation. If you're white, you should you keep to your white folks. If you're black, you're not supposed to walk into white territories. You don't eat from their food. You don't go to their cafes. You're not allowed, actually. You don't go to their clubs. You don't even use the means of transportation that they use. So this was very extreme. And Black Africans started to feel the negative toll of all of that. And there was also talk about the lands that were taken from the Black Africans and the taxes that was levied on them. So it wasn't a very beautiful kind of atmosphere for the Blacks, who happened to be the majority of population. And then that's why people started to think of taking up arms against the white ruling class. And we started to hear of systemic and systematic resistance. We talk about the African National Congress, from to whom or to which Nelson Mandela, for example, belonged, and other armed organizations, and until Mandela was released and he became the president in 1994. And this was obviously the first fully democratic elections. Um, so this was the background of the writer and how she came to be concerned with issues like these. And that's why we now have Nigeria and Somalia even in the novel, and their concerns and the ideas and the idea of dictatorship, and what happened. And even Nigeria, and the novel is based on perhaps a true story, the killing of and the execution of the activist Ken Saru Wiwa in 1995. He was the leader of the movement for the survival of the Ogoni people, which sought justice. They wanted, they exposed the government because of the enormous oil revenues that don't go obviously to the people. So Ken Saru and his people and movement started to kind of protest against that. They started to be active about that. And of course, they got hunted by the government until Saru Wiwa himself was killed. He was arrested by the military government and executed on fabricated charges. So this was the inspiration for The Other Side of Truth. So The Other Side of Truth draws on the troubled history also of Nigeria and also of Somalia, because we have a Somali element in the novel. The fact that Mariam, who happens to be the friend of Shade, is Somali. So what is similar to what is happening, what was happening uh, um, in Nigeria? What's similar is the case of Lauren, the father of Said, because he is also a journalist who is trying to expose the wrongful death of Saro Wiwa and other human rights violations by the Nigerian government. So these are issues that Naidu is endeavoring to highlight and address. She wanted to, like I said, to both engage readers in the lives of the characters and also to promote a critical appreciation of their social, cultural, and historical context. Because Naidu believes that fiction or the genre of fiction is the best or one of the best methods of sharing experience. And there is a very revealing and a very significant quote by her when she said, "What I hope is that readers will become so imaginatively engaged with their characters and their dilemmas that they will begin to ask questions not only about what will happen next, but why is this happening?" So you have this shift. When we read novels, we want to know what will happen next. But the shift now is more towards why is what is happening, not what is happening. She is looking at the bigger picture, and she is trying to make her readers ask bigger questions. So for her, we're talking, of course, about Naidu. Literature and education should engage our heads and our hearts so that it can enable us to develop critical literacy. This was a very necessary and interesting kind of background. Let's move to the idea of instruction and delight, which is relevant to what we have been saying. She was asked in a number of interviews about what is it that she's trying to do. Is it delight? Is she trying to entertain her readers? Or is she trying to instruct them and give them lessons and moral lessons and educate them? And this is what she had to say about it. I'm frequently asked, have you a message in what you write? If you have a message, it means that you are trying to instruct, to give moral lessons. And this is her reply. My reply is that written fiction is quite different from declaiming from a soapbox or through a microphone. I don't write to deliver a message. She said that I don't write to give a moral lesson or to give a message, but in the same breath, I believe passionately in the importance of literature that engages with life and our moral human universe. She gives a message and she doesn't give a message. She's trying, no, I'm not direct. If I'm direct, this is not literature. This is perhaps a propaganda, which I'm not interested in. But I believe in the agency of literature, that literature can make the changes that we're hoping for, that literature engages with life and with our moral human universe. And she said that I'm always, or I always believe in what Nadine Gordimer. Nadine Gordimer is another South African writer and a Nobel Prize laureate, and she's quoting her as saying that uh, literature is like a witness. It bears witness to reality, to lives. Nathan Goldmer coined the phrase witness literature. And another writer, Mario Vargas Llosa, spoke about committed literature, الأدب الملتزم. Committed in the sense that you have a purpose. You're not writing for the sake of writing. You're not writing for only for aesthetic purposes. No, you have something. You're trying to communicate something. She says that I believe that literature must address itself to the problems of its time, but it shouldn't be less entertaining. Literature, according to her, immerse itself in the life of the streets and the unraveling of history as it did in the best of times. This is, of course, her words, and they are inspired by what Mario Vargas Llosa said. That's why she started to do her research when she writes, and she grapples with the issues to discuss them. She does enough research so that the messages that she's trying to get across in the right way. And she's giving us examples of the impact that this kind of critical thinking about issues, this kind of critical literacy that she's trying to develop in people. She's trying to tell us about the impact of all of them. And she's giving us an example of somebody, of an 11-year-old schoolboy, I think in the US, who sent her a letter saying, "Thank you for writing the other. Dear Beverly Naidoo, thank you for writing The Other Side of Truth. We read it in class every day and we thought it was incredible. Sometimes when I got home, I looked at my globe for Nigeria and its capital city, Lagos. Femi was my favorite character because he was moody and a bit like me when I am at home. I shouldn't tell you this, but our teacher had to stop reading to hold in tears." See how buoyant, how interesting this is. This is obviously the impact that her novel has on people. She's changing minds, obviously. So this is a teacher who believed in the power of literature, who was open enough to show honest emotion in front of his students. And she speaks about other situations where the teacher and the children would go out and start to read the novels and discuss it and feel those kind of nice sensations about it. So again, it's not direct preaching that she's giving. It's not direct instructions. She believes in the agency of literature and how it can change people and their behavior and their stances and everything in between. Obviously, we're not going to finish everything today. So would you like us to stop on this note because I have an announcement to make? Do you have any questions before I make the announcement?
No,
Can you send those two articles you were reading from right now to us, please?
Yeah, wait. Before I forget, I'll send them now. Let me
Thank you.
open the WhatsApp group.
They are in the book.
They are in the book, but they are cut. If you would like them this way, that's fine. But of course, you need to elaborate on them whenever you have an essay question or something. They can trigger ideas at the back of you. This is the one that we're having. Can I ask whoever is...
Hello, doctor.
Yeah, please mute your mic. Yeah, hello. What's your name?
My name is Maali. I am a new student.
Yeah, معالي ده احنا Where have you been?
I am in Riyadh.
أهلا بيك يا معالي.
أهلا بك. أنا جيت تحويل من فرع السودان.
أهلا وسهلا بيكي وبأهل السودان حبايبي.
أهلا بك.
طيب ما عندكيش مشكلة يا معالي. I would like us to add Maali to the WhatsApp group. I don't know how. حد يقدر يساعدنا؟ نكون شاكرين.
Did you take the quiz or?
أنا no. I'm not taking the course. I'm teaching the course.
Okay.
Is this your question? So these are the files that we're talking that we have used today. Can you see them?
Yes, doctor.
Yes, doctor.
Can we add Maali to the WhatsApp group? Maali, can you write your...
Yes, I sent her a link.
Yeah, read. Thank you. Let me close
Okay.
this. طيب. Now what? Okay, now it's about the announcement that I want to make. I am a certified teacher training. Let me, because this is an ILAN, let me, it has nothing to do with the course anymore. But let me stop the recording.